you can learn how to be organized. It's really about systems and routine and following set structures. The need for being organized increases your productivity in life, whether it's you want to have more free time or whether you want to have a more successful business. It's really about being organized and staying organized and having systems. The mental clutter is when you have all these ideas, you have all these things to do, you've got people pulling you in all different directions. It causes fatigue. Really, I think it causes attention deficit where people are just shooting around, going from one thing to the next, shiny object, this, here, there, everywhere. The less you have, the more you have. The less stuff you have, the more time you have. The less stuff you have, the more energy you have. The less stuff you have, the more relaxed you are. It just less is more.
Just a little taster of what is coming up on the show. But first, please do like this video and subscribe to the channel. And also tell your friends and family about this podcast. Please let us know in the comments if you would like to hear any particular topic in relation to sleep or health. Then I will create a show especially for you, just for asking the question. So let's get on with the show. Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to another Empowering Family Health podcast. I'm delighted you are here. I'm delighted to bring you another empowering conversation with an incredible guest as always. And look, this show is all about empowering you to show up as your best self. This is about empowering you as a parent so that you can be the best version of yourself so that you will show up for your children. And look, our children, they do how we behave. It's not necessarily what we tell them to do. Our children do as we behave. They mimic us. So it's really important that we are showing up as our best selves and we start looking after ourselves as parents. Because even as mothers, we typically give so much of ourselves to our children, to other people. We're people pleasers. But we really need to start looking after ourselves. And that's what this show is all about, the Empowering Family Health podcast, and helping our children, our next generation, show up at their best when they become adults as well, because the home is their first environment, their roots, and that's where they grow to be who they become as adults. So it's really, really important, that it's something that is very close to my heart. On the show today, we have Rowena List. Rowena is, let me tell you all about Rowena. She is a global professional speaker. She's a coach and a declutter queen. And her no-nonsense approach is very refreshing. She helps you get organized with simple-to-use techniques. And cluttering is something that many of us do. Many of us are guilty of clutter. And when we talk about clutter, it's so much more than a mess in the home, right? It's so much more. Okay, if you are enjoying these videos, remember to like, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your family. You never know who you will be empowering. Hit the notification bell so you won't miss out on any new videos, and leave some comments below and I'll be happy to read and answer every single one of them. Also, you can donate to the show on the Patreon link in the show notes, Empowering Family Health, and also you can do a PayPal donation. You can do a one-off, or you can do a monthly subscription whenever you feel. That would be absolutely amazing. As always, I do appreciate it. It helps to contribute to keeping this show going. So I appreciate that. On with the show. Today we're specifically going to be talking about the mind and how clutter can affect our mind and our mental health. And we know that mental health is an epidemic of itself at the moment. It is something that has really been highlighted now as an area that we need to really be mindful of and look after our mental well-being. So, Rowena, come in and say hello. You're very welcome.
Oh, hello, everybody from across the pond. I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Isn't it so wonderful that with technology, we can connect with people all over the world and do business and meet friends and just, it just blows my mind.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Thank you for having me on your podcast, Joanne.
Wow, it's so exciting. I mean, you're part of the 262 Women's Project as well, like myself. And we have to give a mention for the book. Here we go, the 262 Women's Project book. I am so excited. The launch of that is already starting to roll out, and you're part of that as well, Rowena. And you've so much empowering information to give to people all around cluttering and decluttering, and it's such an important area that many of us overlook as being an area of our mental well-being. But I'm really curious, Rowena, where did this all start? Why the cluttering queen, the decluttering queen? Where did that all come from?
Oh gosh, well, in a short story, when I was in Girl Guides, I was out camping and they didn't have a badge for being organized, and they wanted to give me an award for having the most organized campsite. So I think I was born this way, as Lady Gaga would say. But the good news is that you can learn how to be organized. It's really about systems and routine and following set structures. And from there, I went on and I've had my own businesses since I've been 19. And I saw a need that with having businesses and working around a lot of people, you see that the need for being organized increases your productivity in life, whether it's you want to have more free time or whether you want to have a more successful business. It's really about being organized and staying organized and having systems. And several decades later, here we are.
Yeah, it's so true. And I have to say, I'm very guilty of, I'm a very, like a free bird. I find it very challenging to set goals and stick to them and do my to-do lists. And at times I'm very overwhelmed with all the things that I have to do. Now, sometimes I do have a to-do list, but I don't stick to it for very long, and I do really get how important it is to have a system and a structure and set goals and all this kind. I mean, that's all the successful people follow those principles. So when it comes to clutter and the mind, what has it got to do with the mind? I mean, how does it affect our mind and our mental well-being?
Well, we can talk about physical clutter. And when you walk into a room, how does that make you feel? Do you feel like a weight's lifted or, put on your shoulders? Do you feel you're so overwhelmed that you just want to walk out of that room, especially if it's your home office or your kitchen or your bedroom? These are key rooms in a home. And so that would be the physical clutter that is very important to work on. But the mental clutter is when you have all these ideas, you have all these things to do, you've got people pulling you in all different directions, and that's causing a lot of mental clutter. So your brain, just think of it like a filing cabinet that is completely disorganized. And that's how you're feeling within yourself. So it causes fatigue. I think it causes attention deficit where people are just shooting around, going from one thing to the next, shiny object, this, here, there, everywhere. And it can cause relationships to be harmed and maybe even end. There's such a ripple effect if we don't have our mind clear. And, think about even when you're driving, if your mind isn't clear, how dangerous that is. So there's an element of danger, of health, of so many things if your mind is not clear.
That is so true. And like when you said physical clutter and mental clutter, and there's just so many just cluttering in our environment, and even emotional and digital, the phones and what have you. And there's just so many distractions in so many ways. And that's really what clutter is. It's too much stuff and too much stimuli in our environment. And what really intrigued me when I heard you speaking on the 262 Women's Summit, when you were speaking, what really intrigued me was how tired we can get from this clutter, even though we're physically not doing anything, but it's a reflection of how we're feeling. And I was like, oh my God, this is something I need to talk to my people about and share with my audience, people who can't sleep very well, who have that dialogue going on in the busy mind at nighttime. That's a really big thing that I'm finding. People just can't get a sleep at night. They can't switch off the mind. So what are the kinds of clutter, or can you relate to clutter, Rowena, when it comes to cluttering as a general thing?
Well, clutter does become invisible to people around it. So in your home, you might think, oh, it all looks fairly, organized, or I've got a few good piles here, a few piles there. But when I come in with a clear mind and as a professional, I can look around and go, wow, there's a lot happening over here. There's a lot happening over there. And so then when we start to move it, the energy shifts and the weight gets lifted off the shoulders. The mind starts to become a little bit more ease. The breathing becomes better. And more importantly is that the less you have, the more you have. The less stuff you have, the more time you have. The less stuff you have, the more energy you have. The less stuff you have, the more relaxed you are. It just less is more.
I love that, Rowena. Did I say that right, Rowena? I did, didn't I? Rowena. Yeah. Because I had to practice saying your name a few times pre-record. So yeah, I love what you said about that, because it is a reflection of an energy-wise. It's like it is an energy that we absorb, and even our environment around us is a reflection on how we are feeling, at any particular time. Why do we find it hard? We accumulate so much. We have a tendency to feel better the more that we have, and it's the opposite. It's actually the opposite, like clearly what you just said. But why is it? Okay, so if we simplify things down, we can have more time, more energy, more focus. But why is it that we keep continually accumulating things that we think that will make us feel better? Why are we actually doing this?
Well, that's a great question. And there's a couple of answers. First of all, the retail world spends billions of dollars on marketing to get us to purchase and, buy one, get one. Your life will never be the same unless you have this, and this will help you here. And so we are getting bombarded. And I always say, don't let consumerism consume you. Don't let consumerism consume you. When you are clear in your mind, then you will only buy what you absolutely need. And, when I talk to people, so many people have hundreds of purchasing mistakes in their wardrobe and in their home, but a lot in their wardrobe, because they are getting what I call the thrill at the till. So they are finding this thrill with, oh my gosh, and women are notorious for that. I got this top and you know what? It was only $5.99. Well, did you need it? Is it ethically sourced? Is it a fast fashion? What's going to happen to it once you don't want it?
Yeah.
So much of this drag comes down to our environment as well, because where is all this stuff going and going to go?
Yeah, this has opened up a big, huge conversation now. Yeah, absolutely. There's so many things to unfold there, because yes, we are buying more and more clothes now than ever before, and they're not very sustainable. And the landfills are filling up with all these clothes, and, we know the state of the world and where it's going, and, we need to do something with pollution and the toxins in our air, and, all these things, that just builds up, and it's unnecessary. And all this kind of slave kind of labor, that we hear about as well, all this sort of thing. And yes, and then when you said about marketing as well, marketing has gone very, very clever, and it's manipulative. Let's say it is. I think it's fair to say it is manipulative. Marketing, they're telling us that we need these things and we'll feel better, we'll look younger, and making all these kind of promises to us. So we feel the need that we have to buy this, we need it. And are we, making us want it rather than something that we really do need, The ability to rest is the body's key to healing. Do you struggle with getting asleep at nighttime, or staying asleep during the night and waking up the next morning feeling absolutely exhausted? My book, How to Get a Good Night's Sleep, is easy to understand. It's solution-based and it's packed with research to help you take back control of your night's sleep. My book is available on Amazon, and it's also available on howtogetagoodnightsleep.com. This book is also available in audio and ebook. So get your copy today and start having the best night's sleep that you've only ever dreamed of. And there is a difference there. So that's something to be really, really mindful of. And then there's another area as well, food, that I see an awful lot of people with food wastage, and we're in a time now at the moment, interest rates are very high. We're all watching our money, and the bills and what have you. And with food wastage, I personally hate throwing out food. And a few years ago, there was a scare of a food shortage, after the epidemic and all this. And people were buying the tin cans and storing them in their cupboards and what have you. And even finding food in our cupboards that's way out of date that we haven't used. Are you seeing a lot of that as well in terms of food?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I was working on a place yesterday, and per crackers or biscuits, as you call them, were from 2018, and we're now in 2024.
Yeah.
And, there were mice. And so there's this ripple effect that happens. And we have to be so mindful. 78% of all food is wasted. 78%. That is so high. And you think about all the restaurants that waste food and the huge portions in that food that gets wasted, and the farmers that can't pick the produce that's rotting, and all of that gets wasted. So there is a need for us to become more aware of this. And just back to the accumulating things too, Joanne, it's just so important not to keep up with the Joneses. Yeah. And this is what marketing wants us to do. My neighbor has a bigger house, a fancier car. Who's driving this car? This is going to make you look like this if you drive that car. Yeah. And to not get so consumed with that, to really know your own values, and to know what makes you happy, and that stuff is not going to make you happy.
Absolutely, 100%. I love that you said that, because there is a saying, what is it? Comparison is the thief of joy when we compare ourselves to other people. And that's when we are measuring ourselves up against people. So we are not valuing who we are, our own self-worth, being happy in our own skin, all this sort of thing. And even when it comes back to the family environment, our children pick up on that we are not confident in who we are. We're not feeling very secure and confident with who we are. And our self-worth is really, really important. And when we have all of this, we're not easily rocked or persuaded or manipulated. We're really firm on what it is that we want or that we need. And we can't be persuaded, this is going to make you look 10 years younger, or this will make you feel happier, type of thing, and the comparisons of what other people have. We're very, very happy with where we are and what we have. And that's really important that we're aware of that, and how the outside environment triggers us. And I want to move on to the conversation about, if I can, mobile phones and technology, and how fast social media and all of that is moving as well, and how that is interfering with cluttering our minds up. Because I'm finding personally in my line of work, a lot of people can't sleep at night, and they're bringing their phones to bed with them, and they're getting notifications on the phone, and they're responding and replying, and there's so many emails and so many messages. That's a form of clutter as well, Rowena, would you?
Huge clutter, huge. And a huge time buster, massive time buster. And, it's making it so that people aren't socializing and chatting with people. So it's really about knowing your limit and sticking a time to how much time are you going to spend on your phone? How much time are you going to waste? Yeah. And I am not going to waste time. Time is so precious, as we all know. And when you know what you want to do with your time, where your values are, where your boundaries are, these are all things that I teach to my clients and coach with my clients, then you can say, put the phone does not need to go into the bedroom. Not to mention all the studies of, these phones and the radioactive and cellular and everything. I think we're going to have a society that's got brain cancer. Yeah. It's just too much. It's too much. And everybody's neck is down like this. So, then we need to bring it up and, look ahead. And the other day I was walking in Vancouver, downtown Vancouver, and people are walking right at me because their head is down, they're on their phone, and they can't see where they're going.
Yeah.
It's so dangerous.
Yeah. And I see children and teenagers. I'm actually having a battle with my school at the moment because, don't get me started, but all the children, they're 13, 14 years of age, they all have mobile phones. And I see them coming out of school and they're like this, like what you say, walking down to Vancouver. They're coming out of school and they have the mobile phone, and here they are walking along the street, crossing the road.
Yeah.
Crossing the road.
1 in 3 people get hit because they're on their phones while they're walking. So 1 in 3 people.
Distraction. That is a major, major distraction. So I hate
distraction, and it's putting all this clutter in our head of, videos and buy this and you're not good enough and, go here, do that. Like it's just, and people are living vicariously through what they see on social media of, okay, my life sucks. I'll look at somebody's life that doesn't suck and this should make me feel better. No, this is going to that kind of stuff is going to keep you awake at night. These are all the things. The business is so strategically aligned, Joanne, because these are so many things that keep people awake and keep people unhealthy. If they can't get into their kitchen and make a nice meal and they order in, they're going to be unhealthy. It's going to cause money problems. It's just a whole ripple effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you talk to us about, the neurological, the stress response, what's happening in the body, just to give people an understanding of how, because our nervous system is primarily made up of rest and digest and stress response, and both of them serve us, but we're primarily in the stress response way, way too much. And I think all this clutter is what's keeping us in that stress response.
Oh, big time. And, because people have things that are pinging and ringing and carrying on, turn your notifications off. This is, our phones and our computers are for us to manage, not for them to manage us.
Yeah.
And so, turn off all these notifications. It's just irritating to everybody around you. And it's every time there's a ping, you're like on alert. Okay, what's that? Oh, I better check. Even if you're in conversation with somebody, I better check.
Yeah.
It's about knowing the quadrants of what's important and urgent and what's important and not urgent and what's not important and not urgent. It's knowing that and saying, okay, I can turn my phone off and the world is going to keep going. Yeah. And I can take a break from all of these distractions. We all lived very, very successfully before it. And yes, they have a place. And I'm an advocate. I think, texting is brilliant. That's my favorite.
Technology. I do love technology. And it is great and it serves us well. But the challenge is for us to be responsible, know when to use it, like what you said, know when to turn it off, have our boundaries. And I was going to say, I'm actually preparing a talk at the moment, would you believe? And it's titled Own Your Phone. And what I mean by that is, like owning your shit, right? When we're doing personal development and be responsible for yourself, own your stuff, like, tell the truth on yourself, because we're not all, little angels, we've done terrible things and we have to own it, right? Because that's the only way when we can see that and when we own it, that's when we can change and make a difference in our lives and what have you. And with own your phone, it's be responsible for your phone, but also literally we are the owners of our phone and we want to own our phone, not have the phone own us.
Oh yeah.
Have the phone have control over us. So it's all about putting the boundaries in place. Can you talk to us a little bit about boundaries in general, because even with children, because I think this is a big, big area. We tend to be people pleasers and we seem to live in a society where we need approval and we will do things for other people. And this is where we're letting our boundaries down. And this is where clutter can, in all shapes and forms, in all different areas of our lives, even when we talk about clutter in relationships, we can hang around with the too many of the wrong kind of people. You know, they say we are the average of the 5 people we most hang out with, you know. So talk to us a little bit about that, Rowena, please.
Well, boundaries are very, very simple in as much as that what is okay and what's not okay. So is it okay for you to text me at midnight and expect a response? No, that's not okay for me. I'm going to be sleeping. So that's, setting up a boundary that way. It's setting up a boundary with your kids, with your friends. We do it all the time. And maybe a lot of times we don't even realize we're doing it. And then there's times when we really need to set boundaries and we don't. Because boundaries need to be happening throughout relationships as relationships change and morph. And, you've got a teenager, Joanne, so you're going to start having all kinds of situations with boundaries. And, and you can have a boundary with your phone and say, okay, I'm going to use my phone. I'm not going to let my phone use me. I'm going to own my phone. I'm not going to let my phone own me. That's a boundary with yourself. So having boundaries with yourself is also really important.
Yeah.
What is non-negotiable? This is the thing to think about. What's non-negotiable for you? And then if you're in a relationship, whether it's with a girlfriend, a boyfriend, a husband, a spouse, a partner, your kids, a work colleague, you can set up these boundaries together because, sometimes there's got to be a bit of compromise. If you have a boundary that dinner has to be at 6:00 every single night and your partner doesn't get home until 6:30, well, that's not going to work, is it? So it's really about negotiating these and compromising. But in the end, it has to be what is working the best for you. And when you're in a relationship, what's working the best within that relationship.
Yeah. I mean, an awful lot what you said there is common sense, but we don't practice common sense very often, do we? I mean, it's simple stuff like, but I want to run through, and I'm aware that we're flying through this conversation, but I want to ask you a few questions in relation to structuring our day, and this could take in boundaries and as well. So how do we, because in terms of, if you're a busy professional woman, maybe a mother as well, like me, right, wearing the two hats and interchangeably, putting them on and off. How can someone structure their day so that they can have more control over their tasks and, get more done without being overwhelmed and without having that chaos?
Well, that's a loaded question, Joanne, because, sometimes most people put too much on their day. So I say, have your 6 most important things. Your 6 most important things that you're going to do today. And you write it out the night before so that you're not sleeping and thinking about it.
Brilliant.
And you put the task, the number 1, the most important task, and maybe the task that is best that you do first thing in the morning and not procrastinate because that's when you're feeling fresh. And so you work on those 6 most important things. Now, you may have overestimated how many things you can get done in a day because you've underestimated how much time each task is going to take. I like to put the task and I like to guesstimate how much time that task is going to take because there might be several parts to it, like getting organized. You're not going to get organized overnight. You're not going to get organized in a day. But the more organized you are, the more time you will have, that I can guarantee. And then you will be able to do more of these tasks. You'll have less overwhelm. Now, if you only get down to, say, number 4 on your list, then number 5 and 6 become 1 and 2 tomorrow. So you move them over.
Yeah.
Don't have a list that's got 100 things on it. No. The best thing that you can do if you've got so much whirling and twirling around in your head is you do what I call a mind dump. And a mind dump is when you take a piece of paper and a pen, and don't do it on your computer. There's a theory between the hand, the heart, and the head, and how that all correlates together. So you take a piece of paper and you just start writing down all the things that are in your head that are your to-dos or thoughts or whatever. No order, just dump it out.
Yeah.
You're planning a trip to Australia. You've got to talk to your daughter about school. Your husband needs to book an appointment. all these things. So you write out everything that's whirling and twirling around in your head. Then once you've done that, you take a red marker and you put the letter A beside only the things that you can do and nobody else can do. So preparing for a podcast, only you can do that, Joanne, because it's your business, your podcast, you're the expert. But could somebody else do the grocery shopping either within your family or outsourced? Could somebody come in and do the cleaning? Could somebody get your daughter to school if that was one of the things that was twirling around in your head as far as how am I going to get her to school and get home and get to work and, promote the book and all of these sorts of things that are whirling and twirling in the head.
Yeah.
So put the letter A beside all the things that only you could do and nobody else could do. Put the letter B beside the things that if you had time, you would love to do them. So maybe you're thinking of, a trip 3 years from now where you could take the whole family to Disneyland, and wouldn't that just be wonderful? And, if you had time to organize that, you would, but it's not a priority today. So those get the letter B beside them. The rest of the items get a letter C, which becomes delegate. So become a master at delegating. Those are the things so you focus in on the A priority items only. And doing a mind dump, I find I have to do a mind dump about every quarter. It's like, my brain, I do it, and then, slowly, things start to go in my head. And I think, it's time for a mind dump. So usually about once a quarter, but that's because I'm organized. I'm a professional organizer. But for most people, they probably would need to do a mind dump about once a month until they got into that position of being really, really clear about their values, their boundaries, their priorities, and what they want in life. And then they can go live their life, their best life.
Values. Because when you value something, you're going to prioritize. I always say that about sleep. If you value your sleep, you're going to prioritize it. You're going to put it at the top of the list. And I think it's really important that we understand what we value ourselves, because then we are going to do something to make it happen. But I love how there is a lot there in that and how to structure the day. And there's lots of, and it reminds me of, what's his name? Brian Tracy, Eat That Frog. And he talks about, how to organize your tasks. And he does something similar with the A, B and the C, categorizing and then again, you could put it into that quadrant, the what's urgent and not urgent and all that type of thing. But, but I love how there's a great few ideas in there that people can work on, whatever works for them. And I love how you said, do it the night before, because your day always starts the night before. And I always say your sleep starts from the morning time, when you wake up in the morning time. So it's not what a lot of people would think. But yes, doing a mind dump at nighttime before you go to bed, because you're literally taking it out of the brain and you're writing it down on paper. So it is actually stored somewhere. So you're not going to forget about it. It's going to be on the list. And, you can organize, you can have it in your head, you can create your intentions. So that's a great way to help people to be more focused and more organized during the daytime. And then I just want to ask you, in terms of keeping our rooms tidy, and because it's when and especially the bedroom, we want to have a nice clean bedroom as well, but in our workplace as well during the daytime, some people I find it really, really difficult to clean their room. It's just so messy. They don't know where to start. It could take 2 hours to clean it, literally. What advice or what tips would you give to people who find it really overwhelming to just get started on a cleaning project in one of their rooms? What would you have to say to that?
I'd say hire me.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah. I'll work right beside you and keep you on task and get you ruthless. But, I have on my website, gettingittogether.ca, I have a lot of tips. And I always say the 15 minutes to freedom. So set a timer and take 15 minutes and break the task down. So if we're talking about somebody's office and, it's become a dumping zone, take 15 minutes and only deal with, let's say, books. Maybe there's books over here, there's books over there, there's books everywhere. Take the books and put them in one area. That can take 15 minutes. Then, if you've got office supplies all over, take all your office supplies and put them in one area. So really creating zones, creating systems, and corralling everything together in one area. So you might end up with piles because, when you're clearing the clutter, things actually get worse before they get better. Yeah. You're moving stuff around. And you can't, it's not like you can put it outside in the inclement weather. So you make zones up, and then you can see the volume that you have. So for an example, if you have 25 empty binders, really, how many empty binders does a gal need? And people will say, oh yeah, but my kid's going to school and they might need them. Okay, well, they might need one or two, but let's pass the rest on so that they get used right now. And if she needs a third one, he needs a third one, let's just go and get one. People will say, yeah, but Rowena, that means I'm spending money and I've just given them away. Yeah, but you're spending to store. People don't realize that you're spending to store, whether it's valuable real estate space that you're using up for storing all these binders that you might use just in case, maybe Monday.
Just in case, yeah.
Just in case. The 3 deadliest words, Joanne, just in case. So, markers, how many highlighters and markers does a person need? They're going to dry up before you get to them.
Oh my God, I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty of that. Oh my God, look. I have loads of these everywhere. I have another one out in the kitchen, another one in the bedroom. Oh my God. It's shady. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good. So just in case, yeah, I get that because I do that. Oh, I'll just keep it just in case I might need it in the future or somebody might need. Yeah, I really get that. The 3 deadliest words. Oh my goodness. So, just tell everybody, how do you work with people? So do you come into their homes? And obviously it's a non-judgment. That's really, really important because people don't want to be judged in this, obviously. So I'm like, I know that
very delicate situation because there's a lot of shame and embarrassment and guilt and all kinds of things. So we push that all to one side. And so there's a couple of ways that I work. Of course, if you want to fly me over to Ireland, I'll come and work over in Ireland. No problem. But let's just say for the people that are local in the Metro Vancouver area, I do go to your home and I physically help you pack up and move out the clutter. And we set up systems. And if we need to do any kind of renovations or handyman stuff, we do it all so that your space now is designed. It steps up to meet you. Your space steps up to meet you. I also do speaking engagements, such as this one, or in person, other Zooms. So I am for hire for speaking engagements and also for coaching. So I do have a coaching program because maybe you do live somewhere else in the world and I can't come to you. So then you can say, well, I really want to know what my values are. I want to become better at boundaries, or I want to clear the clutter in my kitchen. Here, take a look. Where should I start? And we set up a coaching program that's specified and designed especially for you.
Yeah.
On my website, I do have a free ebook that gives you the top 10 tips for getting and staying organized. And I do offer everybody a free over the phone consultation, or, we do WhatsApp or Zoom, however it works, depending on where you are living. So lots of different areas that I work with people at under the umbrella of gettingittogether.ca, all things organized.
I love it. So many, Sarah, and I can hear it's very supportive because it has to be, because it's a change that people are making. So there's loads of ways that you can help people physically come out to their home, a coaching service, one-to-one, speaking engagements, and you can really see how clutter is not just a physical item that you could trip up over in your house. It's so much more than that. It is so much more than that. And it reflects who we are being and what's blocking us in our lives. So it's a big, big area, and it's stopping many people from sleeping at night time as well. So that's why I just had to have you on the show, Rowena, because it's such an important topic that many people would overlook, wouldn't think it's that important, but it's hugely significant in your life and also to your family, the people that you work with, your relationships, every single area of your life, and who you are being, and ultimately just making you feel better and be happier and healthier in your life and your mental health, your physical health, everything. So it is a big deal, Rowena, and I think what you're doing is absolutely incredible, and we need more people like you, and I think people really should avail of your services. So can you just call out your website address again for people to find you?
Yes, it's gettingittogether.ca. Gettingittogether.ca.
I love that. And you're on social media as well, aren't you? Facebook and LinkedIn?
Yes, I'm on Facebook, Rowena List, and I'm on, mainly Facebook, and I do have a business page as well.
Cool.
I try to not invest a lot of my precious time on social media.
I don't blame you. Yeah, absolutely. Walking the talk. There you go, folks. Walking the talk, because we can go down that rabbit hole of social media. So, Rowena, thank you so much for being here. Is there any last empowering thought, or, just to wrap up, anything really important that you want to leave our listeners with, that you really feel they should take on board to really make all this information impactful for them?
Well, I think doing the mind dump is very important, and to also give yourself a pat on the back saying, I am doing the best I can at this time with the knowledge I have. I will do better with more knowledge, and once I learn these techniques, I will do better. So really being kind and compassionate to yourself and not beating yourself up, and saying, okay, this is a skill that I can learn. I can learn to be organized, and I can have support. If I'm not so great at being organized, I can have support, and Rowena will be there to support me, sitting on my shoulder. And thanks so much, Joanne, for having me.
You're so welcome. And I think it's really important that people do reach out and ask for support, because we can't, succeed and have success in our lives on our own. We can do so much on our own, but we do absolutely need to be able to have the courage. There's no shame. For anything, it's really, really, we can get so far. And even this project that we're in together, we're all helping each other, and we're all shouting out for asks and what have you. And it's helping us grow together. And it's like we're one drop. Individually, we're one drop, and together we are the ocean. We're helping each other out. So asking for help is such a big, big step as well to your way to success. So, Rowena, Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for being who you are. Have a fantastic day. And I will see you soon, I'm sure.
You will. All right. Thank you.
Okay, take care. I do hope you are enjoying these conversations, and to help me continue putting these videos and audio podcasts together, I do have an ask. I do need support to help me to keep bringing you knowledge and insights. There is a Patreon link, patreon.com/empowering family health, or you can make a donation via PayPal. All the links are in the description and the pinned comment. You can do a one-off, or you can do a monthly support. So I'd really appreciate that. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. Take care.